Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Little Life Lessons. This is episode 2. I'm your host, Michelle, and today we're going to be talking about admiration, putting people on a pedestal, looking up to people, and all that fun stuff. First, I want to say thank you so much for everyone who has already watched my first episode. I felt so much support and love on that episode. Moving on to what we're going to be talking about today. In our lives, we all have those people that we really look up to and we admire. We admire their skill set, whatever it is. I feel like it's important when you admire somebody to kind of hone in on the things that you admire about them because it's so natural to look up to somebody in some way. For example, I look up to my dance teachers because they're so skilled in what they do and they have so much confidence in the way that they move and they move in the studio space, And I look up to some people because they're at a certain point in life where they have so much wisdom and they have experiences that I have not experienced yet. And I look up to their knowledge or I admire their knowledge. But I can admire those things without putting them on a pedestal because once you put somebody on a pedestal, you lose your own power. If you don't have your own discernment about certain things, you can just easily go with the flow of whoever you put on that pedestal and you assume that they know what they're talking about when they don't necessarily know what they're talking about. They may know what they're talking about when it comes to these certain life experiences, and they may know what they're talking about when it comes to the art form or the craft or whatever it is that their skill set is based in. But as a whole, it doesn't necessarily mean that they know what they're doing. It's important when you really look up to somebody or where you admire somebody to take a step back and say, okay, I actually really admire this about them and admire that they put in the work to be where they are today. And I will respect them in this setting. For example, I will respect them in this studio setting. I will respect them in this class or in this conversation. But overall, in your life, you don't have to elevate them because you might have some experiences that they haven't experienced. And you might have a lot of wisdom in certain places and skill sets in certain places that the people that you admire have not experienced in that way, And I feel like it's important to slow down and go through this filtering process when you have this energy in your life that is very extreme and exciting and you're like, okay, this in my life is new and I can really easily get swept away by this newness of whatever this is, or like this person coming into my life and they are so amazing and they're so inspiring to me. Like, I feel like it's important to go through a filtering process of what are your morals, what are your standards, what are these things, and what will you stand by with yourself. I can even make an example of my podcast because I do feel like I say things with confidence, but that does not mean I know everything. And although everything I say is authentic and true to how I'm feeling and where I am in life right now, and it is an accumulation of all my experiences and all the lessons I've learned, does not mean that I'm exactly going to feel this way in the future. Does not mean that I'm going to align with everything that I'm saying right now. I still have so many more experiences in life to teach me otherwise or to teach me that this is the right path. And I can share things on my podcast with assertiveness, but you guys ultimately get to do the filtering process in your own lives to see if what I'm saying aligns with what you're experiencing right now. Maybe something that I say does spark some interest in you, or maybe something that I say gives you so much inspiration to start something or motivation to do something. And that is amazing because one of the purposes for my podcast is to help inspire and help elevate and help spread knowledge in the best way and spread love in the best way that I can and be a vessel for wisdom. But when you take all this information in, it is important to also just take some time and to consider what works for you and what doesn't. And instead of going full force on certain things that you feel excited about, you don't want to neglect how you feel about certain things and your standards in life because what works for me might not exactly work for you. And also what works for me right now may not work for me in the future. For example, some things that have served me when I was younger and some habits, some traits don't serve me now. And what is serving me now may not serve me in the future. Another example that I'm thinking about that relates to this topic is when I see people on social media living extravagant, amazing lives, and they've worked so hard for it, and they're really successful in their lives, and they have a huge following because they've grown so much in their success, and their character traits are admirable. And when you're watching these videos or people portraying these extravagant lifestyles or these extreme, amazing jumps in their life where they came from nothing and then have everything now, Like those experiences are very beautiful and can be very inspiring. But when you look at those experiences, you do have to take a step back. What do I admire about this person? Okay, I like their characteristics. I like how they're very driven. I like how they're disciplined, and I like how they have integrity, but they also have empathy. These are the things that I really admire about this person. So I'm going to see where in my life I can implement that more. And I think that's a lot healthier way of being inspired by somebody than jumping directly into copying them and trying to do what they're doing. If this person had nothing in their life and now they have everything, and what they did was sell cars, I'm just giving an example, right? Instead of going straight into selling cars, look at this person and say, what do I like about them? Like I said earlier, I like the traits about them. I like how they can handle stress. I like how they're emotionally intelligent, and the way they transform their experiences from something that can be considered as negative into something positive is very admirable. So those are the things that you can admire. Instead of jumping into, okay, they sold cars and, got a lot of success out of it, I'm going to try to do that. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying sometimes when you admire something or look up to somebody, try to understand what it is that you do so that you don't jump into things that don't really align with you, because then you're putting this person on a pedestal or their experience on a pedestal, and then you're losing your power and your sense of self, and you're abandoning what you truly love. Because what if you really don't like selling cars, And it's okay sometimes to just do things because it's going to help you financially. Like that is okay. But where my perspective in my life comes in that may not align with yours is that I do believe there should be a sense of connectiveness to yourself when doing certain things, because then when you do things that are more aligned with yourself and with your heart and is love based, it can transform into something more beautiful, and it can also help a lot more people and touch a lot more people. But that may not work for your life because maybe you have a family to feed, okay? Maybe you have rent that is due, So you need to do things that make you feel secure in life, financially, whatever it is. There's no judgment either way. What I'm trying to say is stay true to yourself and hold on to those things that you feel like are you, and then allow the inspiration of other people and these experiences come into your life, but don't abandon yourself. Stay true to yourself and stay true to the things that you feel are special to you. And then admiring somebody for what they do and their talents and whatever it is can elevate you because you're inspired by that. Something that is also aligned with this topic of putting someone on a pedestal or whatever it is on a pedestal is romantic relationships. I feel like it is often that we put romantic relationships on a pedestal, and not even a person that you're with, but the idea of a romantic relationship. For example, a lot of times people think, okay, I'm putting marriage on a pedestal, and when I hit marriage, that's my goal and life will be amazing. And I know no one necessarily thinks that way, but maybe sometimes you can feel it. I know you guys know that there's a lot of complexity that comes with relationships and marriage and etc. It is true that sometimes we just have this idea of what a coming together of a relationship looks like, or coming together of two people look like. We think that the relationship is supposed to make us whole, or we think that the relationship is supposed to heal us, or we think that when we hit marriage, that is like our final goal. And it is okay to have marriage and a relationship as your final goal. When you put a relationship on a pedestal and then this person comes into your life that meets that relationship, you're going to put them on a pedestal. And we are all human and we cannot always meet those high standards that we have. Well, somebody can come into your life and make it feel very whole for a time period. But once that relationship feels settled, there are still things that you need to work on in your life. But if you rejected that in the beginning because this person came into your life and they made you feel whole, then those feelings will also resurface. So what I like to say is you want to live a whole life and you want your significant other to also live a whole and fulfilling life. Then when you guys come together, it creates something bigger. If you have things that you don't necessarily work on, and then this person comes into your life and they fill that emptiness for a little bit because it's really exciting and you're getting to know them and you're spending time with them and all these things, then when the relationship settles, you'll still have those things to work on. But you could blame that person because they're no longer fulfilling that part of you. But it's really nothing about them or the relationship. It's about the fact that you didn't really heal this part of you. And you can work on that while in a relationship. You don't have to be fully healed because we're never fully healed. We're always working on things to expand and learn about ourselves. And we're also always being traumatized. Like a lot of things I feel like do come from childhood, but a lot of things also come from the current situations or environments that you're in now. So we're always constantly being traumatized and we're also constantly healing. So you can heal with another person in another relationship. It's just that you also have to have your own way of working through things that isn't having the expectation that they should be the one to fix you or heal you. They can be the one to support you along the way, and they can provide knowledge that can help you heal. They can show you love in ways that you've never experienced before to help you work through what you need to work through. But most of the time, which is my belief, that there's a lot of things that you kind of have to understand how to work through, which is having like a healthy way of processing emotions. I mean more in the way that you kind of need to learn how to work through your own things and then also communicate. And then when you get into a relationship, it's going to be a lot healthier because there's always going to be struggles in relationships and there are always going to be things along the way. You just have to choose each other and you have to choose to work through these things. It's more about not expecting the other person to be the one to fix you, but you can lean on them. Like, that's what a support system is for, and that's what companionship is for. But it's not the expectation of they must. You know, that is all I have to say about that. Let's do our little loves for today. One little love I have about myself is that I'm getting stuff done, which means I'm getting my work done, I'm doing what I need to do. I do procrastinate a little bit, but at least I'm getting it done, and I think I'm getting it done well and efficiently, which I am very proud of. And one little love I have about just life in general right now is I'm really grateful for the people that are in my life. This is pretty similar to the little love I had in my previous episode, but I'm really loving the people that I'm meeting in my life right now. I feel like I'm so excited about the new relationships that I'm creating because I feel like it's so much more aligned with who I am. It's really exciting because I'm meeting so many new personalities that I never would have thought existed, you know? It's just so cool that I'm meeting so many different types of people. And that is my second little love. Thank you so much for watching episode 2 of Little Life Lessons. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye! Mwah!